They got revenge. Huskies win 77-73. We'll recap. This is Locked On UConn.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday after that 77-73 UConn win over Florida. Welcome back to another episode of Locked On UConn. I am your host once again, Matt Shonvisky, here on the only daily UConn podcast, Locked On UConn, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the world. Thank you for making this your first listen each and every single day. On today's show, we will, of course, be opening with recapping last night's win over Florida. Then we'll talk more about UConn football as Jordan Strack will join to give a closer look at what UConn is getting with Jason Candle as head coach. And finally, we'll wrap with a quick run through the success UConn Athletics has had across the board this fall. But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. So the Huskies got the win, 77-73, and listen, revenge was certainly on the mind. Immediate post-game interview on ESPN, Alex Caravan came out and said it, revenge. Avenging the loss, 77-75, flip it, Florida came out on top of UConn. So very similar game from a pace standpoint, from a scoring standpoint. Listen, right out of the gate, Terrace Reed. First 4 points for UConn. Welcome back. Got the nod, got the start, and had an immediate impact. And then the whistles came. And I think in that first half, Braylon Mullins came in 3 fouls. Or 2 fouls. And then the whistles kept going. And going. And going. Both sides. Slowed down the tempo a bit. I would have liked to have seen a little bit less from the referees. But one thing stood out. UConn won 77-73. There are certainly things to correct. There's certainly things to be concerned about, even with Terrace Reed back. At the half, offensive rebounds, Florida, 11-3 edge. Looking at the stats here, 16-7 was what they finished. So UConn got a little better on the defensive boards in that second half, but it was a concern. Every time a missed shot was going up, it was 20-16 on rebounding in that first half, but 11-3 on the offensive side of the ball. So that's something UConn's got to continue to work on. Defensively, listen, you held this team 42%, 27% from three, only 73 points. It was a solid performance in front of a packed MSG that was rocking. In front of your new head football coach, Jason Candle. Solo ball led the way, 19 points. Caravan, huge stretch. He had the block on one end, came back, banged a 3. UConn chant going. Great momentum there in the second half. He came up big, down the stretch when they needed it. Senior leader, stepping up, big game. And you could see, I don't know, it was that post-game interview. I felt a sense of relief. I felt, got him. We got the revenge. That feeling we had there in March last year, earlier this year, 2025, it's gone. Got the win. Same opponent. Came out on top. Turning the page onto the 2025-2026 chapter. I think that's big. I think this is huge for their confidence. Listen, they're 9-1 on the season. Another big matchup this Friday, hosting Texas, People's Bank. And then we're entering Big East play. Silas Demery only had 6 points tonight. He took 5 shots total. Wasn't really in foul trouble either. He played 20 minutes. He had 2 fouls on the night. Terrace Reed, 4 fouls. Obviously, Braylon Mullins fouled out. Free throw disparity. Man, UConn shot 16 free throws. I think 12 of those were in the final 2 minutes. Florida lived at the line. They had 27 free throw attempts. So before Florida trying to stretch out the game, it was, 25 to 4? And then there were a couple whistles back and forth there at the end. So you got out-rebounded 40 to 28. Florida lived at the line. Offensive glass went Florida's way. And you still came out on top. I think this was a heck of a win tonight. You finally saw this team coming together fully healthy. Jaden Ross only got 12 minutes. That's one thing. I'd like to see him play maybe a bit more. I think he can do some things for you. Didn't score tonight. 2 boards. I really like him defensively on this team. I think you're going to see more Jaden Ross as we go forward. And then one play, you saw the Stewart reaction to that Malachi Smith layup on the break. Huge momentum swing. The crowd went nuts. Another UConn chant. So listen, the Huskies fed off the crowd, it seemed. They fended off a Florida run there at the end. And it's just a great win. 50% from the field, 44% from 3. Listen, Caravan, 13 points, 5 of 8 from the field. Pretty efficient. He did get blocked around the rim on one layup, but listen, he had a great game. Both ends of the court, I felt. And he was on the floor a lot, too. On the Florida side, listen, Lee had a great start to the game. But he was 5 of 14, 1 of 7 from 3 for Lee. And then Houck, who we talked about with Dave Borges heading into the game, 18 points, right on his average, 7 of 12 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. UConn did a nice job defensively here. Lee did have 19 points, but it took a ton of shots to get there. Same with Condon. He took 11 shots, only 14 points. So again, that's UConn's defense holding Florida to 42%. And UConn was sharing the rock. 18 assists, Florida's 14. So listen, across the stats, UConn came out on top on the assist side. They got out rebounded, especially on the offensive end. Still 77-73. Lot to like. Lot to like from this performance. A lot that you can take as you move forward. And then Ryba hitting that 3 in the first half. That was big, too. At a pivotal point to keep momentum going. So, listen, all around, I'm happy. 77-73. 4-point win. You got the revenge over Florida. And now there's a lot to build on. And a lot to work on. Which I think, if you ask Dan Hurley, that's a good place to be in. So as we move forward, we will look to preview later this week the final out-of-conference game against Texas. But we will, on this show, turn our attention to UConn football on the other side. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets. Hey, UConn was a 4.5-point favorite. Seems like Vegas knows what they're doing. As the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum, swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. And you can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. Keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you? Back here on Locked On UConn, on Monday, we were introduced to new football head coach Jason Candle, as UConn fans got a glimpse of what he's about, success he's had, and how ultimately he's going to approach the next few weeks here with the Huskies. So for more, why not hear firsthand from someone who's seen Candle up close over the last few years? Bring in here Jordan Strack. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so first off, thanks for hopping on, give some insight into Coach Candle. Just give listeners and viewers a little background about yourself.
Yeah, so I worked in local TV here in Toledo for 15 years. I have since gotten out of TV. I still do the podcast thing. But yeah, I worked very closely with Jason Candle from the time he was an assistant all the way through his final days actually here in Toledo. I was literally in the football building just a couple of weeks ago talking with him, and he and I talk almost every single day through text. So yeah, I have I think a uniquely close relationship with Jason, and I have known him for a long time.
Yeah, so you are the person to talk to as we begin to learn more about the new football coach here at UConn. Right after the announcement, you had a tweet, and I'm just going to read a quote. It says, "Everyone knows how I feel about Jason Candle. Beyond happy for him. Awesome human being with a great family. Loves Toledo. UConn's lucky to have him." Can you just expand a little on what you meant with that tweet and give some behind the scenes about Jason himself?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, with his family, his wife, Nicole, is incredible. She had no connection to Toledo. She had no connection to the Midwest when she got here. But she jumped in and was an unbelievable member of our community. There was a tragedy in town where a younger girl was murdered, and Nicole jumped on the board. It was called Justice for Sierra, and Nicole had no real connection, but she saw it and she felt a calling, and she jumped on the board of this organization. She was always very, very close with these people, and that's the kind of human being she was, and that's the kind of human being Jason is. They came to Northwest Ohio and fully entrenched themselves. You could go to a Mud Hens baseball game here in town, and Jason would be there with his family. He would go to a walleye hockey game, AA hockey, AAA baseball. And he would be at a men's and women's basketball game all the time. The family was just entrenched in everything about Northwest Ohio. And I think it just kind of spoke to exactly who they were as humans. And they're great people. Jason is he's an unbelievable golfer. He doesn't play nearly as much as he would like to, I think. But you'll see him if you have a pro-am or something for a pro tournament, Jason will get out there and absolutely bomb it. And if you see him, his stature, he's 5'9", 5'10". He's not a big guy, and he's trim, and he absolutely crushes a golf ball. I mean, this dude will destroy a ball, and it's fun to play with. He and I have played a couple rounds together, and he's awesome, and he loves Red Sox baseball. So the fact that UConn is going to play at Fenway, I texted him about that yesterday. I'm like, dude, that's so cool. What are the freaking chances of that, right? He goes out there and automatically is going to Fenway. So those are just some of the personal things of who he is. He will give you when you get close to him, he will give you some crap back and forth, and he loves to trade barbs. He was terrific while he was here. You can see by the outpouring of support that he got as he left. There was a billboard here in town. There was a full page ad thanking him. He's just a loyal guy. He's cut from the very same cloth, basically, as Matt Campbell, who just took the Penn State job, of course. They're the same type of guy. They learned at Mount Union. It's just kind of who they are, and it was kind of ingrained in them, I think, from early age of coaching.
Yeah, so you bring up something that I want to talk about is Mount Union, because obviously Matt Campbell and Jason Candle at Toledo together. What was it about? I don't know if you got into talking to him about the Mount Union experience and what exactly that did for them to develop their overall coaching philosophy in football, as well as, it seems, loyalty was a big thing. I saw some videos of Mount Union, and clearly loyalty is a big thing there too.
Loyalty with those guys it's everything. I think, Larry Karras is the legendary coach at Mount Union, one of the greatest to ever do it. And Larry's son, Vince, obviously was Jason's defensive coordinator the last couple of years at Toledo, just went to Syracuse. And Matt Campbell was here. So like all these Mount Union guys all just kind of stuck together. Jason will tell you about Nick Sirianni, who he's extremely close with. Matt Campbell is extremely close with Sirianni. These guys are all like, it was like a big fraternity for those guys. And I think, I don't know if he would say this, but to me, it's always been like this. It was like a sense of, they all had to kind of follow in Coach Karras' footsteps. Like they all wanted to go and do their own thing because of him. And I just think, they all kind of learned a certain way. And that's why they were so darn successful in college. Jason made the joke yesterday, I think, of at the press conference the other day. They won 54 in a row. They lost one, and then they won 55 in a row. Yeah. And like, that's how it was. And like, they're guys that win. They've just been around it their entire lives. And I think that, that sense of loyalty, like for a guy like Matt Campbell, for example, just to give you an example. So Taylor Mauser was a graduate assistant here at the University of Toledo with Matt Campbell. When Campbell left, he was going to take everybody. He said, whoever wants to come, you're coming with me. I'm not abandoning anybody. I'm not leaving anybody. Come with me. And he took a bunch of GAs. He took equipment guys. I mean, he took everybody with him to Iowa State. And there were a couple that decided not to go or whatever. And Jason was one of them because he stayed and became the head coach here. And, all those guys still remain super tight. And I think, maybe part of that makes it hard to, fire some guys when you need to make a tough decision. Mm-hmm. But like they are fiercely loyal dudes, and it's worked out for them.
And when it comes to on the field, what type of coach is UConn getting? What type of approach is he going to take? What type of attitude on the field, mindset, etc.?
Yeah. So Jason is an offensive guy. He has his hands on everything he will call the offense. Like he'll hire an offensive coordinator, but he's going to call the plays. He is maybe, that was one thing people at Toledo wanted to see him give up, and he was not willing to do it. And Jason's a good play caller. Jason is a very good play caller. Did it always work out at times? No, but nobody's perfect, of course. You're going to see a team that wants to run the football, and he's had some really good running backs at his time at Toledo, and that's always been the first staple. I mean, you look at Kareem Hunt, and you look at even a guy like Chip Trainum comes in this year. Bryant Koback, who was transferred in from, was a Toledo kid, went to Kentucky out of high school, came right back after a year. He became one of the all-time leading rushers in Toledo history. They will run the football, and they will build from there. And but they're also going to be multiple. Like they're going to sling it. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to score a ton of points, and that's what he does. And I think defensively, I'm interested to see what he does defensively, to be honest with you, because like Vince Karras leaves. He's had a couple different defensive coordinators, and he's hands off on that side. He has his defensive staff, and he's hands off. Like it's, that's your job. Go handle it. And so that's what you'll see. The other thing you'll see with Jason Candle, he is one of the most incredible football coaches I've ever seen at identifying under the radar talent and getting the absolute most out of them. So he will take a guy like Kareem Hunt, who wasn't a highly recruited guy, turns him into an absolute Pro Bowl superstar in the NFL. A guy like Quinyon Mitchell, who was a complete afterthought coming out of high school, he turned into a bona fide superstar with the Eagles now. Those are the kind of guys. It happened again this year with another DB, Emmanuel McNeil Warren. And what the craziest part of all of it is, now in the NIL era. So every school in America tried to get Quinyon Mitchell to leave Toledo. every one of them. Alabama was throwing a bag at him, and that's Alabama threw a bag. He turned him down. He told Nick Saban no. And it was simply because of the relationship he built with Jason Candle. Quinyon Mitchell literally told me, Jason Candle was the one that believed in me out of high school. I'm sticking with him. And those are the kind of stories you hear over and over with him is guys that are fiercely loyal to him because he took a shot on him. And he's so good at not only finding this under the radar talent, but developing them and then keeping them when maybe others are able to pay them a little bit more. And that's, I think, the biggest testament you can give to Jason Candle as a football coach, especially in 2025, 2026, when people are chasing money, chasing bags. These dudes stayed at Toledo when they could have gone other places, and they chose not to just because of the culture that was built here.
Yeah, so you talked a couple of areas that I wanted to dive into. We talked about loyalty already, but also loyalty with players, as well as his eye for talent. Mac, led the MAC 3 straight years in terms of recruiting, 70th ranked. But just his connection and his ability to connect with his players, you talked about it already. That just speaks to the culture that he develops with his team.
100%.
So can you talk a little about that culture and anything behind the scenes that you've been able to see?
So I think there is, it's a quiet confidence with Jason, the way that he carries himself. He is very confident in his ability. And when you see guys come into that building, nobody gets in trouble. They graduate their players. They show up to class, and they're good human beings in the community. And I know that stuff isn't sexy today. It's just not. Everybody wants to win every single game. Everybody wants to, get to the playoff. Everybody wants all these things. But that is what you will 100% get, and he will not waver from that. And he's going to get that out of every single guy. You're going to have good human beings, and they're going to build culture the right way. I can 100% assure you of that. And if there are issues, they will not be there. It doesn't work. But it all goes back to the type of person that he recruits. He recruits guys that are going to be loyal, guys that are going to stick around the program. You look at just the guys that are in the NFL now that have come out of Toledo. It's crazy. Quinyon Mitchell's in the NFL, Desjuan Johnson, Tyson Anderson, Sam Womack, Darius Alexander. There are guys all over the NFL right now that came out of Toledo, and they all came with Matt Campbell or Jason Candle, and they weren't 4- and 5-star guys. Now, I will say he is an incredible recruiter as well. He's had the highest ranked MAC recruiting class ever the last 3 years. And he just keeps outdoing himself each year. He is a great recruiter. When he sits down with you, he tells you how it is. And I don't know if I won't cuss on your podcast because I don't know if I'm allowed to. There's no BS with him. That's the thing, is he tells you how it is. There's no fluff. There's no PJ Fleck carrying around an oar. There's no gimmicks. You don't get that stuff with him. It is just, we are here to do a job and graduate, be good human beings. And that's what he's about. That's it.
Yeah. And so the UConn president opened yesterday, then the athletic director, then the board of trustees, and then Candle took the podium. They were all talking about how Jason's a perfect fit for the institution. They feel it's an extension of what's already here. Do you think Jason's here if he didn't feel the same way?
No. He wasn't. And I can tell you, I'll tell you this right. I can just tell you this. So Jason has interviewed other places. He's had other opportunities. There were multiple major programs that wanted him to come be offensive coordinator. He turned them all down.
I saw Miami and Notre Dame over the last couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And others this offseason as well. college football playoff teams that wanted him to come be the offensive coordinator for next year. And he said no. He did interview at Tulane this offseason. And he chose UConn because, it's a good fit. I think it kind of fits his personality. It's almost like, I see all these people on Twitter the last couple of days, like, well, is UConn really an upgrade from Toledo? What are we talking about? He went and more than doubled his salary. He's going to get a bigger NIL pool. He's going to have a bigger assistant coach pool. Yes, UConn's it's a good job. It is. And I can tell you right now, he would not have come if he didn't believe all of those things. He is not a guy that fakes it. He's not a guy who's looking to come and just bolt. He's not looking ahead to his next job. It was a perfect time in his life and a perfect time in his career to go make this move. And that's why he did it. He there's no, what you see is what you get with him. There are no ulterior motives. There's no he's just a down to earth, chill, normal human being. That's just who he is.
I think that's music to fans' ears. We've had some coaches leave after short periods of time. So yeah, stability with the program is something. Yes, the program's in a much better place today than it was, but we're looking for that stability going forward. So it sounds like Jason's the perfect fit for exactly what we're looking for. You mentioned loyalty and assistance. Is there anything you're hearing on your side, given your proximity to the situation, in terms of any coaches that could potentially follow Jason here to UConn?
Yes, a little bit. So, I already told you offensively, he's going to call the plays. That's who Jason is. What I love was that Jason basically told all of his assistants, hey, hang back to Toledo, and go finish this thing out right for those kids. And they're going to go to their bowl game. They're going to play Louisville, down in Boca Raton. And he has the assistants back here doing the job. And that's a Jason Candle thing to do. He wants to make sure there's stability here. Some of the underrated guys that you're not thinking about that will be there to bring stability. I think he's got one of the best recruiting coordinators in America, Brian Gasser. I love the guy. He's a Northwest Ohio guy, and he's incredible. And it sounds like he's making the move. So some behind the scenes guys that'll go. I don't want to speak on some of the other assistants because just guys that I've talked to that I don't. It hasn't been reported yet. If I was still a reporter, that I might have put some of that stuff out. But I just think there's some guys that you're going to be really happy with, and then there's going to be some guys he's going to add as well. He's going to have to make a couple big hires. Obviously, making a defensive coordinator hire is a huge deal because that person will get complete control of what happens on the defensive side of the ball. So I'll let that stuff play out. I don't want to piss him off right now, to be honest with you. Because somehow he's going to hear this podcast and he'll call me yelling at me. So I'm not going to have him kick me on his way out of town.
I appreciate that. And then final question, just the summary of the season that he's exiting at Toledo. I know they're back in a bowl game, just the run that they've been on, no losing season. I think that just speaks to the winning attitude that he has.
For sure. And, to be honest with you, it's funny because they went 8-4 this year and people were really disappointed by it. That's kind of the expectation he's built up here because they have won. And, they went 8-4 and they lost 2 games in the MAC, but and I don't know how familiar you are with the MAC title game tiebreakers, but it's a complete joke, to be honest with you. So
it's not a flip the coin like in Texas high school, right?
No, but it's almost just as stupid, to be honest with you. So there was a 3-way tie with Toledo, Ohio, and Miami. Toledo and Ohio both beat Miami this year. But Miami was somehow the team that went to the conference championship game with the same record.
Yeah.
It is the stupidest thing you've ever heard. It makes no sense in any way. Candle was not happy about it. I can tell you that. So it was silly, and they should have been in the MAC title game. They had some really tough losses this year, like brutal. They had their 2 MAC losses. One was against their huge rivals from BG. They were up 21-0 early in the game and lost. That was a heartbreaker. They lost at Western Michigan on a 2-point conversion at the end of the game. Heartbreaker. So they expected more out of this year. They're going into this year. They were talking playoff. Like they legitimately believed they were a James Madison. They were a Tulane. They believed that they had G5 talent to go to a playoff. So 8-4 was disappointing this year. And I think that's just because of the expectations that have been built here and what Jason Candle built as the Toledo coach in his time here.
Well, it sounds like UConn's getting not just a great head coach, great human being, great family that's going to be helping around here in the community at UConn. Jordan, definitely appreciate you taking some time out of your day to talk UConn football.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Let's talk about something most men don't bring up, but absolutely should. Stress from work, money, life. It doesn't just switch off at night, and when it shows up at the worst possible time, Rigid Ready is designed to help you take back control. Rigid Ready is the next generation prescription treatment created to support both the brain and the body so you can feel present, confident, and ready when the moment matters. Rigid Ready combines these 3 clinically proven ingredients in one mint that dissolves under your tongue so it absorbs fast. The science behind Rigid Ready stands out. 3 clinically proven ingredients in one formula designed for both mental and physical readiness. If you've been thinking about taking the next step, now's the time. Head to Rigiet.com, Locked On College. That's RUGIET.com/Locked On College to get 15% off your order for a limited time. Rigid Ready. Feel present, feel confident, feel ready. Back here on Locked On UConn with a quick final recap of UConn sports this fall. Obviously, football had significant success. 9 wins, undefeated regular season, heading up to Fenway to play Army in the bowl game. But they're not really the only team to have a lot of success this fall. Men's soccer, back in the NCAA tournament, lost in the Sweet 16 to Maryland, but they have improved under Chris Cabani this season. And women's soccer also had a strong year, winning 11 games, going 7-1-2 in the Big East before ultimately falling, unfortunately, in the Big East Championship. On the ice, obviously, men's hockey sits atop Hockey East, just ahead of who up north, Boston College. And the men are ranked 12th nationally. On the women's side, they're ranked 7th nationally. So you can see across the board, football, men's and women's soccer, men's and women's hockey. And then on the hardwood, obviously the men, number 5 in the nation, and the UConn women, number 1. So, listen, a lot of people call this a basketball school. It's an everything school. Football, back-to-back 9-win seasons, going for 10. Soccer, performing. Men's and women's hockey, performing. Basketball speaks for itself. So as we look at this athletic department holistically, you're looking at one of the top performers in the nation. And that needs to start resonating. I think I talked yesterday about the UConn Sports Enterprise. I think that's what we're getting to from UConn leadership. So as we wrap, thank you once again for tuning in to Locked On Sports, Locked On UConn. Hit the like and subscribe button. And thank you for tuning in each and every single day. And for a second listen, check out Locked On Sports Today, hosted by Peter Prokowski, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.